Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this open forum organized by the OECD. Thank you for joining us here in the Lila Storm and also online. This session brings together two connected discussions. Before jumping to the content, my name is Yoichi Ida, the chair of OECD Committee on Digital Policy, and I'm very happy to be here together with all of you to moderate this session. So, as first part, we begin with a panel on the OECD AI Principles Implementation Toolkit. That is practical initiative designed to support countries in strengthening their AI ecosystems and in adapting governance frameworks to local context. The toolkit will offer region-specific guidance to help bridge AI divides and advance responsible, inclusive AI development. We will then transition to a second segment focused on how governments are using AI in practice to improve public service deliveries and policy making. Since 2019, the OECD AI principles have guided national strategies and international cooperation on AI. The OECD AI principles also serve as the common foundation guiding the work of the Global Partnership on AI, GPAI, which recently joined with the OECD AI community in July 2024 in a new integrated partnership. Despite the transformative potential of AI, access to benefit of this technology remains uneven. Many countries face challenges related to infrastructure, human capacity, and policy frameworks, along with greater exposure to risks such as task replacement. Today's discussion will spotlight on policy efforts and initiatives that help close those gaps and promote inclusive AI ecosystems around the world. Please join me in welcoming our four distinguished speakers. Mr. Marlon Avalos, online, Director of Research at Research, Development and Innovation at the Ministry of Science and Technology from Costa Rica. Second, on my left side, Ms. Lucia Russo, economist at Artificial Intelligence and Digital Emerging Technology Division from OECD. Third, again online, Mr. Jiv Elias, Responsible Computing Lead for India from Mozilla. And of course, last but not least, of course, Ms. Anne Rachel In, Director General at National Agency for Information Society, ANSI from Niger. Welcome. So we will first hear from the panelists about their experience in designing policies for fostering AI development and diffusion. After the first round of questions, we will go around for a short final reflection from each speaker. We will then hear from our second segment, which will talk about AI in the public sector. Here we will listen from three distinguished speakers. So on my right side, Ms. Katerina De Vries, Deputy Director General at the Ministry of Digitalization and Public Governance from Norway, and also the long-standing representative at OECD Digital Policy Committee. And Dr. Young-Wook Kim, Executive Director at Center for International Development from KDI. And Ms. Seon-Ju Park, policy analyst at Innovative Digital and Open Government Division from OECD. So after the second segment on AI in the public sector, we will then open the floor for questions and answers session to hear from you and engage in a conversation. So we will monitor the online chat and take questions from the room also. So as we will be taking questions after the second segment, if you are joining online, feel free to ask your comments and put your questions in the chat box. If you are here with us in the room, please note your questions down on the note, and we will reply to them after the second segment of this open forum. So we start with the first segment, and I would like to start with the discussion on collaboration on trustworthy AI and hear about the designing AI policies and the plans for the OECD Toolkit to provide support to countries while elaborating these policies. So I will start with Mr. Avalos online, who Mr. Avalos Martin from Costa Rica initiated the work on the OECD Principles Implementation Toolkit. So, Avalos, what prompted this initiative and what has been Costa Rica's experience so far up until now in developing a national AI strategy from this perspective?
Thank you very much, Ida-san, for giving me the floor. Good morning and good afternoon, dear colleagues connected virtually and there in Norway. It's an honor to be in this Internet Governance Forum 2025 to tell a little bit about our experience designing our
Seems to have some technical issues online, so please wait a little bit and before we get him back, but otherwise we will proceed to the second speaker. Okay, so thank you for your patience. Before we get him back online, I would like to proceed to the second speaker. So, moving to Lucia, I would like to ask you, could you tell us more about the OECD AI Principles Implementation Toolkit with its objectives, structure, and how it aims to support governments with different levels of AI maturity in policy making? What is the overall vision for this project going forward? Lucia, floor is yours.
Thank you, Yoichi, and good afternoon to the audience here and online. It's a pleasure being here at the IGF. So as Marlon was starting to say, this project was initiated by Costa Rica, and it started off from the consideration that AI opportunities are manifold across sectors and across the globe. And there are, of course, several potential and transformative effects of AI across sectors. And we will hear later on about AI in the public sector, and as well as we know, in agriculture, in healthcare, in education. And these opportunities are, however, difficult to seize for different countries, as there are several bottlenecks that oftentimes prevent countries from having the capacity or the financial resources or the organizational resources to devise effective AI policies. So with these considerations in mind, we started with our delegates in the Global Partnership on AI and with the support of several countries, including Japan, Costa Rica, the UK, France, Korea, to developing what is a practical toolkit to implement the OECD principles. And just allow me to stay a bit on the principles that, as we heard, are the foundational document for the OECD in AI governance, and that were adopted in 2019. And these principles have since then been the object of further work from the OECD to provide analytical analysis, but also guidance on how to implement them. And they are constituted by 5 policy principles that are recommendations to governments around areas such as research and development, infrastructure, the policy environment, skills and jobs that are required to effectively implement AI across sectors and international cooperation, but also they are values-based principles that cover those values that all stakeholders should strive to embed in AI systems and of course, and to respect democratic values, fairness, transparency, explainability, accountability, among others. So what this toolkit aims to do is to look at, is to provide really practical resources for facilitating adoption across countries, with a specific focus on emerging and developing economies, but tailored to the diversity of needs, preferences, and available policy options across countries. So ultimately, these resources will support advancing a more inclusive and effective AI governance. So in practice, what this toolkit will look like is an online tool that will be composed of 2 main elements. The first one being as a self-assessment that countries will be able to navigate autonomously, and that would guide them through, on one hand, the areas that they would need to strengthen in AI governance, and on the other hand, priorities that they may want to establish. And then once this self-assessment is completed, the toolkit will provide suggestions based on best practices in regions that are at the same or that are comparable or have similar challenges, so that they can take inspiration from these other countries. So the second component will build on the repository of national AI policies that we have on the OECD AI Policy Observatory, and that will aim to strengthen by collecting further information on national initiatives and regional initiatives. And in terms of the design of this toolkit, one key feature is really the co-creation component. So to develop the toolkit, we are currently planning and organizing, and we have already one such regional workshop planned to have really engagement with countries, with the designer of AI policies, to understand better, on one hand, what are the key challenges they face when devising AI policies and when thinking about the AI governance in their respective countries, and on the other hand, understand what resources they need, but also, as I mentioned, also understand what practices they have put in place to overcome these challenges. So we will have one first such workshop in Thailand, again supported by Japan with ASEAN countries, and we will then organize several others for instance, with African countries, with Central American and South American countries. And when we plan to make this tool as helpful as possible. I think I will stop here in the interest of time, and I will just checking online if Marlon is there, but I don't see him.
I'm here,
Oh,
Lucia.
see, okay. Wait. Oh, here.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you very much. Welcome back. So, Lucia elaborated the structure and the details of the toolkit, but I would like to come back to you, Marlon, to explain your experience. So, please.
Thank you, Ida-san. This is an immersive experience. I just lost my connection, and this is the challenge that developing countries like us face in every day, every time. And well, I was saying that our decisions to promote this OECD AI principle implementation toolkit wasn't a coincidence. It was intentional based on our national experience, as you can see. And we saw a reality while the OECD principles provide strong ethical guidance, many countries, especially in the global south, still lack the tools and institutions to turn those principles into actions. And our initiative was motivated by three aspects: necessity, urgency, and opportunity. Why necessity? Because the AI revolution is reaching our countries, but the capacities needed to adopt it responsibly are still unequally shared. Urgency, because we saw how quickly the benefits of AI were concentrated in advanced economies, leaving others behind, mainly in infrastructure and AI compute capacity. And opportunity, we have a chance to move from principles to create capabilities, mainly in developing countries. As context, we launched our national AI strategy last October. Currently, is being implemented with the support of over 50 entities across government, academia, civil society, and the private sector. And we learned a lot of things with this process. First, that a successful strategy must be grounded in reality. That's why we try to focus on what truly matters, ensuring the ethical, secure, and responsible use, development, and adoption of artificial intelligence, always with the people at the center and aligned with our national priorities and values. We prioritize key sectors where AI can add tangible value, like health, education, agriculture, and public services, reflecting our development goals and our comparative advantage, like environmental, leadership, political stability, and international engagement. We also decided to build a solid foundation first based on our strategic objective. First, design flexible and adaptive regulatory frameworks. Second, strengthen our R&D and innovation ecosystem. Three, develop talent and skills for a changing world. And fourth, leverage AI in the public sector as tool for inclusion and efficiency. Our guiding principle emerged through a diverse benchmarking from the OECD and UNESCO recommendations to the Hiroshima AI process, code of conduct, and our national values rooted in peace and human dignity. As I said, or we take the best part of a lot of instruments. For example, we are also inspired by the European Union AI Act, the US AI Risk Management, and AI policies from our regional peers in Latin America, and several papers and reports. We don't stop there. We conducted a national risk assessment based on real threats and prior experience. As you can see, we got inspired from a lot of instruments and reference, but one of our most important conclusions was international collaborations is essential, mainly for developing countries like us. That's why we embed these international leaderships as a core line of actions in our strategy. Based on our active participation in the OECD as a member in GPI, in regional initiatives, European programs, and other programs, gave us the path to do it. Design a strategy like this wasn't easy because we had a lot of goals, we had a lot of priorities, but we lack of maybe the knowledge that other countries, that the developed countries have. Even a country like Costa Rica, politically stable, technically skilled, and internationally connected, face these challenges, then surely other countries like us will too face that challenge. Just a few days ago, as chair of the OECD Ministerial Council meeting, Costa Rica proposed the development of this OECD AI Principles Implementation Toolkit, a tool now endorsed by several countries, members and non-members. Getting to this point required months of preparation and negotiation with developing countries, and thanks to the support and talent of the OECD Secretariat, represented today by Lucia Russo at the panel, to design a tool that will contain simple and actionable features to help governments in the struggle of building their own AI policies. A self-assessment and implementation guide that my colleague Lucia Russo will explain more in her intervention, or was explained in their intervention after my reconnecting issue. This is not only a Costa Rica initiative, this is a collective project that is entering a phase of regional co-creations with the support of countries like Japan, Korea, Italy, France, the European Union, Slovakia, Republic, and other countries that are supporting us not only politically but financially. Countries of different regions, Central American region, Latin American region, Africa, and Asia, will help shape the toolkit's next iterations, ensuring it adapts as technologies evolve and societies change. Lastly, the success of the toolkit will depend on three things, we hope: customization, learning, and evidence. We need features that reflect local needs, processes that evolve over time, and metrics that show that AI is actually delivering AI. The AI is delivering value for people. Costa Rica offered its lessons based on our experience in the design of AI policies and the next tools and instruments that we are designing, that, for example, the sandbox, the regulations, and other instruments. And for sure, our full commitment to help turn the energy that we have and the support that countries gave us into actions, so that no country, regardless the size of or income, is left behind in the age of this artificial intelligence age that we face in this moment. I will stop here and thank you. My apologies for the connection issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marlon, for your sharing the experience and your efforts on this very important initiative. If you allow me talk a little bit about Japan's experience, because we actually started this discussion in the year 2016 and proposed international discussion to OECD on AI principles. That was the beginning of the whole process. And when people agreed on AI, OECD AI principles, it is actually very comprehensive and very high level. So some people said, this is wonderful, but how we can make this into practical policies and actions? So now we are making efforts together not by only Japan, but all together with Costa Rica, Korea, and others, of course, backed by OECD Secretariat to guide the governments and other stakeholders to understand and make this very comprehensive set of principles into actions and practical policies. So this is a wonderful process, and I'm very happy to hear these two presentations. And now I would like to move on to give areas from Mozilla online. So based on your experience and work with Mozilla and also your experience in India's AI ecosystem, Zivu, what types of community-led or policy-driven initiatives have proven most effective in supporting responsible AI adoption, particularly in emerging economies? So what insights can we derive from these initiatives that could be relevant for policymakers? So Zivu, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yoichi-san. It's an honor to be here to share my experience building responsible AI ecosystem in India, one of the most complex and dynamic tech environments in the world. So let's begin with the foundational truth. In emerging economies, AI adoption is not just a question of capacity, but a larger question of context as well. Now, responsible AI must be inclusive, accessible, and rooted in the values and lived realities of people it should serve. And at Mozilla Foundation, we tried to meet these challenges head on through a unique initiative called Responsible Computing Challenge, or RCC. So in India, India has the world's one of the largest, or I think second largest developer population in the world. Yet there are a lot of shortcomings. For example, ethics, accessibility, and inclusion are almost entirely missing from the mainstream AI or even the tech curricula. The AI workforce in India is concentrated in elite urban clusters around cities like Bangalore or Gurgaon, leaving the smaller tier 2, tier 3 cities, rural communities, and especially female workforce, women behind. And fundamentally, there's a growing trust deficit. People are rightfully skeptical of opaque systems that affect their jobs, access to welfare, or even their freedom. So in RCC India, we decided not to start with rather abstract frameworks. We focused with people, especially students, academic faculties, women community, marginalized groups like tribal population, and most importantly, first generation learners who never uh, had been asked what responsible AI meant in their world. So from the starting point, we designed a deeply localized and community-rooted approach, where we begin with this question: what does responsible AI means to those who are most affected by it, but at the same time least represented in building it? So our answer came from the communities we mentioned before, students, marginalized communities, and importantly, young innovators across the country. So one of the most striking experiences came from one of the colleges we worked with called Marian College in a hilly terrain in the Western Ghats, a campus in Kerala where it became a testbed for some of our ethical tech innovations. One of its standout outputs is an AI-powered tool called WebBees, which was developed by a first-year BCS student. So the tool is a lightweight open source AI-powered web accessibility widget, which was built as part of equitable digital access course we developed with the university. It's now been used by 30 websites across the world, and it even received a design patent from Indian Patent Office. So this isn't just about a student project. It's a project that even first-year undergraduates, when empowered with ethical frameworks and open tools, can create global public goods. Similarly, we had another tool called PhysioPlay, which is a A WhatsApp-based AI simulation tool for physiotherapy students designed to help them build diagnostic skills through gamified real-world casework built by a physiology student. Speak Boost, a communication coaching platform that provides AI-powered feedback on fluency, filler words, grammar, tone, supporting students prepare for interviews and presentation. FinSage, which was developed by again a community of students from Maharashtra, were coming from very marginalized groups who doesn't have the privilege or access to buy high tech technology or access. So they have developed this tool, which is a personal finance chatbot that teaches college students and about budgeting, saving, financial plannings through natural language conversations. So each of these tools we mentioned here are, first of all, community-based tools, community-rooted tools. In some cases, built by students for their peers, understanding what is lacking in their ecosystem, what they need to build. They are ethics aware or responsible pillars are focused on AI and open source first. They represent not just innovation, but how does democratized digital leadership looks like. While students-led demonstrations demonstrate what a responsible tech looks like from ground up, when we work with faculties, that led to initiatives address another critical frontier of AI, such as explainability in high-stake domains. So our work with Indian Institute of Information Technology, Kottayam, we developed something called the FactSearch Lab, which launched a suite of explainability dashboards designed to tackle the larger black box problem in AI. So one of their dashboard helps users understand why an AI system made a decision using shared values, Bayet audits, and fairness metrics. Similarly, we developed a dashboard called AI Fora, which enables real-time interactive testing of AI predictions on real data sets, making model behavior visible to even non-technical users. And finally, IXI, which applies explainability to medical AI by using grad CAM's heat maps to highlight what influenced diagnostic decisions in retinal cancer alike. So these are open, and the key impact is that they give everyday users and regulators and policymakers the ability to question and importantly correct the course of AI. This is the future of public AI infrastructure, transparent, participatory, and grounded in accountability. And finally, our most powerful insights came not from labs, but from communities often left out of the AI conversation altogether. So at Lendi Institute of Engineering Technology in Andhra Pradesh, we ran Ideathon with students from rural and semi-rural urban backgrounds, where we guided activities in empathy, inquiry, creative problem solving, and student identified challenges in their own communities, from waste to safety to waste management to safety to water scarcity. They even built tech-assisted AI such as solution blueprints and video pitches applying digital ethics in a more practical and personal way. In parallel, we also took RCC model even further to an area called Chintapalli. It's a tribal area in Eastern Ghats where we conducted workshops with 56 tribal women, many of who have never accessed AI tools before. We did it in the local language Telugu through participatory storytelling, visuals, and guided use of AI tools such as ChatGPT and mapped real problems such as unemployment, safety, healthcare, and explored how AI could support micro enterprises in herbal medicine, food production, and arts and crafts, some which are the prominent employment methods these people use. The result was not just minimal tech exposure, but rather, I'm happy to say, it's tech transformation powered by a powerful tech like AI, on cultural grounding, peer collaboration, and dignity first design. So these workshops proved that responsible AI doesn't begin with the tools, it begins with trust. So while wrapping up, let me say the main lessons from India's AI ecosystem and what we may see works in emerging economics or global south or global majority as we call it is especially having worked in the intersection of civil society, academia, and national policy, is that we need ecosystems that are locally rooted, capacity driven, and above all, people centered. And the most powerful lesson here is that don't just ask who builds AI, ask whose future is it building. Because in countries like ours, trust is not a given, it's earned. And when communities are trusted as co-creators, not just end users, they don't just adopt technology, they transform it. So if you want AI that is safe, just truly inclusive, we must design not only the code and policy, but the humility, memory, and imagination as well. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I will stop here.
Okay, thank you very much, Jibu, for this wonderful story, and it's great to hear about these experiences from the ground, and congratulations on your work. India's success with DPI and the digital public goods is a powerful example of good policy practice, and I'm very happy to hear that the responsible AI principles is just backing up such successful digitalization. So now I would like to turn to Miss Anne Rachel In. So from your perspective, as a digital policy leader in Africa, what are some of the key opportunities and also challenges for African countries in developing inclusive and context-sensitive AI policies? How can international initiatives like the OECD AI policy toolkit better support countries in that region? What key considerations should be made? So, Anne Rachel, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yes. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm actually very happy to go after Jibu in this conversation because he gave a lot of examples that I can relate to. But I'm going to start by saying that in the Global AI Index, it places African countries in general among waking up, nascent when it comes to AI investment, innovation, implementation in general. So, for example, Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya are nascent, while Morocco, South Africa, and Tunisia are waking up. There's a lot more waking up, and I really hope that we will soon, all be graduating. So we do face opportunities and challenges, and those are basically in developing everything that is, as Jibu said, inclusive, context-sensitive AI policies. And I'm pretty sure international initiatives like the OECD Toolkit can help because it does give, a few places where we can pick and choose, and also make sure that we look into others' experiences so that in doing what we have to do to get there, we do it the right way. So in terms of the key opportunities, for example, we do have development barriers that can be alleviated. AI can accelerate our, critical sectors like healthcare. And in there, for example, if I take the case of my own country, that is Niger, we started years ago something that is called a program on smart villages. And we started with healthcare. So, with telemedicine that is geared mostly to skin diseases because it was easier to take pictures, send them to dermatologists, and, get treatment to people. And also, disease prediction. But it's gone to the point that, for example, I have a group of young people right now at home who are looking at, who have, are working on a device. Remember the oximeter during COVID, where you would measure oxygen levels in a person that was sick? So a lot of researchers found out that, for example, that is a device that does not gauge oxygen level the right way in people who are melanated. So they decided that it was something that they wanted to do during COVID. And today they actually have a little device that is just like the regular oximeter, but whereby the light can penetrate a darker skin and give true measures of what oxygen level is in a person's body. And in, agriculture, precision farming, agroforestry is one of the places where we've been using AI, education, of course, personalized learning, and use of languages in general. Because this is a place where nobody grows up with just one language in Africa, hardly any. It is important that when we're trying to get context AI, that we make sure that to get trustworthiness, we have people who really understand what's in it for them. We tend to have policies that are geared to people who can read and write what we call the official languages. And then we forget that in our settings, we have about, 60 to 80% of our populations that are still rural. So they don't speak English, they don't speak French. And if you want them to be part of this, you really have to explain it to them in their language. And that's also one of the reasons why the little applications that the kids are doing in terms of voice recognition softwares that can be helped, whether in can help people, whether in fintech or healthcare, and others are really helping. We do have another opportunity, which is simply that we have a very young population in the region. Now, we do need a skilled workforce. So capacity development and deployment is something that we absolutely need. Now, one of the big constraints that also come with that is that kids do not grow at the speed that artificial intelligence is growing. And when I take my own country, we have 65 plus that are under 25, and at least 50% that are under 15. So it's really a very young population. And as much as we need a lot of capacity building, we need to give it time, for the kids to get to the point where we can have a sound and real workforce. We do have local innovation ecosystems that are really growing AI solutions that are geared to the local place, as in, for example, using a lot of mobile financial tools to make sure that from the women agricultures all the way to land sharing and deeds recognition in rural areas, things like that are being done. So those are, some of the key opportunities. And of course, we do have the regular challenges that everybody know in terms of infrastructure. Again, when I take the case of my country in the African region, we have 16 countries that are landlocked. So connectivity infrastructure is already something that is quite dear. We do have issues with electricity. We still have, you couple that together and you have only about 22% of Africans that have broadband access. So that's still something that we need to work on because it exacerbates the divide. In terms of policy and regulatory frameworks, we have a deep fragmentation also because many countries lack cohesive strategies, AI strategies, or harmonized regulations. So you do have uneven implementation or even, missed cross-border collaboration opportunities because we don't, in as much as we have some of the ministerial meetings, for example, on the continent to talk about one policies or the other, we absolutely need, if we're going to use AI tools in fintech, we have to make sure that the finance minister understands that it's not only the, technology or digital minister talking about this. We need to make sure that if we're going for a national ID, that the person who is going to be ID'd understands the reasons why and what it's bringing to them in terms of advantages. And we also need all of the different government ministries, like, interior, defense, all the way to the National Data Protection Agency, to talk together to make sure that whatever is put in place is really protecting people's privacy. So we also have, of course, data scarcity and bias. As I just said, we do have a lot of facial recognition systems, for example, globally, that are trained on non-African data, and they perform poorly on our people. And in general, right now, at the minute that we're speaking, only about 2% of data generated on the continent is used locally. So it's basically hard to get real data back to our institutions, just because it's managed by global platforms that do not necessarily want to share it readily with us. And again, we do have the capacity constraints, just because the governments struggle to keep pace also with AI advancements. So you've started barely talking about data privacy, that your agriculture minister wants to put a lot more stuff in there, and environment and everything. So all of it collides to the point where, honestly, we come to a point where governments are having a hard time sifting through the little data that they have to make sense of it locally. So toolkits like the OECD one can help, because it also, but it can only help if we really have modular, flexible guidance also, on low resource settings. So things like Jibu and Malone talked about are really interesting and can be looked at. And that can also help some of our countries, because it's much better to have really real case uses than generic benchmarks, because those are great, but they don't really show you how to make it work at home. So in terms of capacity building, we need definitely more AI research centers. We need policy training and knowledge sharing, with platforms. How to make that happen is also one of the things that we're grappling with. And we need all of that, of course, so that our own policymakers can be empowered to have discussions at the level where, policies can then trickle down to people. And of course, we all talked about it, inclusive governance. We must include, globally, we must include African voices to avoid the one-size-fits-all. That I love the idea of that oximeter, because we'll kind of saw it and we've experienced it somehow. But to suddenly discover that this little device that we were trusting to do something is not really doing the right thing for us was really eye-opening. So it's important that everybody's perspective is taken into making sure that there's global toolkits are done the right way, looking at people's, particular settings and contexts. So in terms of also, developing public-private partnerships, it is something that is starting to get traction more in the region, because, of course, government cannot do it all. We absolutely need the private sectors to, to be part of this whole process, and to also make sure that they can develop things that they can, live on. So I think, having said that, I will conclude by saying, I'm going to say something that makes us all laugh all the time, that maybe a few here can relate to, at least if you're African. We do say Europeans have watches, we have time. So I'm just saying this to plead for, taking the time to do things, because rushing into doing things that are not geared to the context just keeps us behind. More than anything, because people do not understand what it is we're trying to do, or where is it that we're trying to get to. So it is truly important that everybody is listened to, everybody is part of the discussion, everybody is brought to the table, so that that trustworthiness that we want be not only in AI, but in the whole digital transformation that we want to see in our countries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this very insightful presentation on Rachel. And I saw a lot of commonalities between your country and our country, issues such as education, or maybe the spreading the idea is always very difficult in Japan. But I really agree to the point that the inclusive multi-stakeholder approach is definitely important in this section. So thank you very much. And for the sake of the time, I thank to all speakers for those rich and insightful contributions. And now we turn to the second part of our session, which will focus on how governments are using AI in practice across key public functions. This is also of relevance to the previous segment, as the OECD AI Policy Toolkit will have information on sectors, including public sector. So I'm pleased to hand over the moderation to Ms. Seong-Ju Park, policy analyst at Innovative Digital and Open Government Division of OECD, who will lead the next segment. So, Seong-Ju, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So before we start, I just want to quickly share. I was recently back in my country, Korea, and then I needed to explain about a history of a palace to the friends that I had over there. Before, I would have used search for the palace and then try to understand the information I find and then explain that in English to my friends. But this time, I just asked ChatGPT to give me a very catchy explanation about this palace. And then I just played it for my friend. So AI has changed many aspects of our lives, how we communicate, how we seek information. And this is affecting governments as well. This is accelerating digital transformation of public sector, changing how governments work, how governments design and deliver policies and services. And it also changed the expectations and needs of the citizens and businesses that they serve. So before I invite two panelists that I have here, I would quickly present to you some of the OECD findings on AI in government. May I have the slides? Okay. Can we put it on is in a presenter mode? Thank you. So AI as a tool has a great potential to support governments to improve productivity, responsiveness, and accountability. So AI can automate and streamline mundane and repetitive tasks,
allocating efforts of the public servants into more meaningful tasks interacting with citizens and businesses. And AI can also support tailoring processes and personalizing government services to meet users' needs. AI can enhance decision-making by supporting governments with making sense of the present and better forecasting for the future. AI can also support enhancing accountability and detecting anomalies. Also, AI can help governments unlock opportunities for external stakeholders. So how can governments enjoy these potential benefits in a trustworthy and in a responsible way? So the work on governing with AI seeks to address this question of how to develop and then deploy trustworthy AI in governments. And then we started with looking at what has been done across different government functions. So we have conducted analysis of use cases across 11 government functions, covering 3 broad categories: policy functions, key government processes, and service and justice. So in total, 200 use cases were selected and based on the influence, diversity, and then representativeness. So based on the use cases, literature research, and then recent policy developments, we were able to identify key trends shaping the current state of play, major risk, and then implementation challenges that governments face, and also explore potential use and future pathways. So the first trend we saw is that use cases are unevenly distributed. There are a number of potential explanations for this distribution that you see on the screen. I won't be able to share all, but I will try to share a couple with you. So the policy functions most represented tend to be the ones most in the public eye, potentially suggesting a focus on areas that have immediately visibility to citizens. Factors going into this could involve both more demands from the citizens, but also a desire among governments and political leaders to visibly demonstrate a value of using AI in government. And we also found that some functions face particular barriers or complexities, such as particularly stricter rules on data access and sharing, and then stricter requirements for thorough audit trails in public integrity. Another trend we saw is a big emphasis on automating and personalizing processes and services. The slightly more than half of the examined use cases, they seek to contribute to the automation, streamlining and tailoring and personalization of government processes and services, particularly in justice, public services, civic participation, and regulatory design and delivery. We found that 4 out of 10 use cases seek to enhance decision-making, sense-making, and forecasting, with most concentrated in public services, regulation, and civic participation. I have some of the use cases. I won't be able to go through them, but the OECD is planning to launch the more comprehensive report where you will be able to find all 200, some of the 200 use cases that I mentioned earlier. So I will skip through different use cases we found on for supporting different functions of the government. And then I will go to the most important topic when it comes to government AI in government. So it might not be a fun topic for us to discuss, but government's use of AI is quite different from use of AI in private sector. It comes with higher risk. It has potential dangers and threats that could seriously harm individuals' lives and also society as a whole. It could potentially undermine public's trust in government, the legitimacy of government's AI use, and even democratic values. So to address these concerns, it is important to continuously consider potential risks that may not exist today. And here on the screen, you see the general 5 risks that we identified through our research. So these risks range from ethical risk, operational risk, exclusion risk, to public resistance, and missed opportunities. And then it was mentioned during earlier segment, a widened gap between the public sector and then private sector capacities. So beyond grappling with this risk, we also found that governments also face a number of implementation challenges when seeking to develop and use AI. So we found that there are many use cases. However, they remain at a piloting stage, and then many are struggling to scale the pilots into the wider systems or services. And also, there is a large room for improvement when it comes to actionable guidelines. Also, governments need to navigate a rigid regulatory environment. And the next challenge is shared by almost every government on this planet. There are inadequate data, skills, and infrastructure in the public sector. In addition, the governments need to better understand the cost and benefit of AI in the public sector. Many are still the cost and benefits around the use of AI in government is quite unknown. That makes it quite difficult for policymakers to make business cases to scale up their AI efforts. So, to support governments to mitigate this risk and then overcome these challenges, we have worked together with the OECD and then the partner countries on a framework to support governments' AI efforts. This is an evolving framework, and then we only seek to provide guidance for countries so that they can continue on through this AI journey. As you can see, the framework is organized around 3 sections. So first is a level of engagement. This includes the different stakeholders that needs to be engaged in building the foundations for a responsible use of AI in the public sector. Our previous speakers, they mentioned involving different stakeholders, not only from the public sector, but also from private academia, users, into devising AI strategies or developing AI solutions. So it's important to have different actors around the table. Then the second element is enablers. So enablers include areas where policy actions can be prioritized to establish a solid enabling environment and then unlock the full-scale adoption of AI in the public sector. So these areas include governance and capabilities, collaborations, and partnerships where policymakers currently indicate the existence of important constraints and shortcomings. The last element is on guardrails. So guardrails include options for policy levers that governments can consider developing for a responsible, trustworthy, and human-centered use of AI in the public sector. So this can range from soft laws and guidance as standard to legislation on AI, enforcement mechanisms, or oversight bodies. So this work is a part of a bigger OECD project called a Horizontal Project on Thriving with AI. Under this project, there are specific deliverables focusing on AI in government. So as I mentioned before, there will be a OECD report on governing with AI, which goes much deeper and then into details of what I just quickly presented with you. And then there will be a dedicated hub for AI in the public sector. It will be on OECD.ai. It will be sort of a repository for policymakers, practitioners, and then researchers. And we are planning to have a global data collection exercise on AI policies and then use cases, which will also be presented through OECD AI Policy Observatory. So thank you very much. That was my very quick presentation on just to give you an idea on where OECD research has been when it comes to AI in government. So now I would like to invite two panelists to hear from them on what it means for governments to harness AI in practice. So the first topic will be around the AI opportunities in the public sector. So I would like to invite Katarina first. So Katarina, Norway has been exploring AI to enhance the efficiency and then effectiveness of public sector services. Can you share with us some early impact that you see or early impact that you expect from Norway's AI use in government?
Thank you, Seju, for your introduction. Artificial intelligence tends to be perceived by now as being ChatGPT or the likes, but actually artificial intelligence is much more than that. And it has been applied and used in Norway already in some years in many government services. Especially in the health sector, we have several applications that are really having a practical impact on people's lives. One case is our Vestre Viken hospital community, where they implemented the AI analyzing X-rays of fractures, and it really saved time for the patients by 79 days. Many patients, about 2,000, were able to go home immediately instead of waiting for results of their analysis and their diagnosis. And this is now being deployed to several other hospitals. So it gives really practical benefits on the ground. Then we have our Norwegian tax administration that has used AI, developed an AI model, which combined with the rule-based models, analyzed deposits of tax returns, looking for missing returns on lending out secondary homes. And that actually led to 85% detection rates across, opposite of 12% before. And it saved taxpayers for 110 million kroner. It was the additional revenue they were able to produce. In cancer treatment, there are hospitals using AI to produce three-dimensional maps of internal organs to have more directed radiation treatment, and it already has been in use since 2023. There are also hospitals using AI to give more accurate analysis of patients with epilepsy that can diagnose it precisely and quickly. Our state loans, student loan agency uses AI to control housing. They do housing verification checks just to be sure that no public funds are misappropriated by students saying we are living there while they are actually living some other place and collecting grants for that. Our police authorities use AI for transcriptions of interrogations when they do investigation on crime, which saves a lot of time because the AI just transcripts spoken language into written language immediately. So in general, we have a lot of this kind of use already, but still the potential is very great. We have done a state employer survey in 2025, which asked 200 state agencies about their use of AI. And 70% answered that they actually use AI in their daily work. I think this is mostly generative AI systems, which they use for things like designing job advertisements, case processing, analytical work, helping them in recruitment procedures and this kind of stuff. But this is state. We have about 400 or more municipalities, which are very small, and potential there is much greater. We still have a way to go there. And what we also need to work on is better tools to assess benefits from AI. We have cases, we have real benefits already produced, but to look across the board and have some tools that will really give us methodological background to assess benefits of introducing AI in various sectors and government levels, that we need to work more on. So I'll just maybe finish here.
No, thank you. That is a really important point. I think many governments are still trying to find out the best way to measure what benefits and then impact use of AI actually brings in long run. But some of the cases that you shared, it clearly demonstrated that use of AI has supported the Norwegian governments to enhance efficiency, but then also enhancing people's lives, saving them time and money. Then I will go to Dr. Kim. So, Dr. Kim, you have conducted extensive research on Korea's use of digital technology, including AI, and for enhancing services and policies. Could you describe the key elements that governments should consider when using AI to ensure that it is used effectively, innovatively, and inclusively?
Thank you. So Korea is ranked as a one of the leading countries in OECD Digital Government Index, which was published recently. And as Rachel states, there's some different stages of development or adoption of the AI technologies in public side. But I'm pretty sure that there is no graduation. That means it's a long journey, and it's a gradual change of the government services delivered to the public. So I'd like to explain and address some of the key enablers or pillars of the Korean history of AI adoptions or digitalization in public services. And the first one is innovation. Innovation is change in your life, change in what you work, and change in what you address your needs and deliver your services. So for the innovations, we have some three different aspects of the targets. One is data. So we need open data, but we need machine-readable data, and which is not available before. That means we need make some researches on development in data and accessing data and processing data and make aggregation and changing the data formats so that we can utilize it in AI adoption. So we need the change in the data. And the other one is infrastructure. So each and every government has infrastructure in dealing it and providing public services. But for the adoption of AI, has a challenging aspect. That means we need innovative way to take care of the current infrastructure of the public service delivery. And the third one is public service delivery itself. That means we need brand new citizen-centric AI public services, which was not available before. However, it is feasible, and we need coin out the way we provide the services and the way we try to address the demand by the public citizens. So that those are innovations like data and infrastructure and public service development. And the other pillars is inclusion. That means we should take care of the digital divide for sure. And we experience digital divide. Even Korea experienced digital divide, and by gender, by region, by income, also by the education. So we need enhanced accessibility for the AI adoption for the public services, of course. That might be enhancing accessibility through AI-driven hyper-personalized services by the public sector, or focus on the effectiveness access of the vulnerable peoples or isolated groups, so that they can take care. They can assess easily for the public services. The other one is capability. So we need to educate, we need to train the public officers as well as the citizens, because it's changing the life, the innovative way to take care of the issues. So we need inclusion, which can be separated into like accessibility enhancement, also education for the capacity building and capability increasement, also ability increase. So those are two pillars of the AI adoptions in public services. And the final element is investment. That requires huge resources in adopt and develop and deploy those AI services into the public sector. So innovation, inclusion requires investment. So you should spend your money wisely and strategically in order for the AI adoptions.
Thank you very much. So the data infrastructure, and then also innovating how we approach public services design. These are the hot topics of many of our delegates as well. And then also the last point on investment. It has put a bigger, more spotlight now with AI, that governments needs to have a strategic thinking around how they're going to use public money on investing in digital or AI-related systems and services. And then I cannot agree with you more that we are in this long journey. And then I often say moving target. So there's always new target every day. And then no graduation. I think this is for many governments around the world. So thank you for sharing the key policy issues. I understand that your work also includes elements to support safe and trustworthy use of AI. How could governments use AI in a responsible and trustworthy way? What are the key elements to avoid or mitigate the 5 risks that I mentioned earlier?
Thank you. So the question is dealing with the safety or security issues around the AI. And it's public administration or public bodies work in dealing with AI technology. And there's a big challenges in dealing with those security issues, especially for the public services, because a lot of actually detailed personal data is accumulated and processed in public body. That means we need to secure those safety of data, and that's top priority. That means so we need strengthen citizens' right to their personal data, not just giving access to the personalized data for anyone or some of the stakeholders. Rather, you need build up consensus and you get the explicit consent in utilizing and processing your personal data for sure. So it's a way to secure some of the safety issues in dealing with personalized and privacy issues. And the second one is security issues. So it's vulnerable to like hacking or other malicious function of the system. So a transition to the open network infrastructure and mobile-based system has some challenge of those ones. So system itself should be secured, should be designed and maintained in a safer way. So that is another challenging for dealing with safety issues. And the third one is AI safety and governance. So as you said, it's moving targets. Then we need agile measures to take care of the AI safety issues. So we have abundant of some examples which breaches privacies, which has harm for the citizens' safety issues. And there are so many dialogues on those ones, but each and every country should establish those safety and governance in the right manner, in a sound system, so that they can take care of those issues for real time and even in advance, so to minimize the risks or uncertainty associated with the AI implementation. So those ones are not the independent from our daily life. Rather, it reflects and it has great impact on the daily life of the citizens in large scale. So for the public services, AI employment and deployment, those ones should be narrated clearly in the AI safety and governance in one specific country. So that's what we can say based upon the Korean experience.
Thank you very much. It's really important when it comes to data, but also sensitive data, because we found that some of the sectors, including social security sectors and then healthcare sector, justice sector, they hold a lot more sensitive and then personal information on the users, the citizens and businesses. And I cannot agree with you more on the need for the agile governance. I think many governments have been talking about being more agile, but I think we haven't reached the point yet. But it will be important to have governance that would allow the proactive measures and also timely measures to prevent or mitigate this risk that we see. Katarina, I will come to you. What concrete initiatives in Norway is Norway implementing to ensure that AI in government are safe and trustworthy?
Thank you. Let me start with a couple of reflections on the challenges when implementing AI. For us, one of the main challenges is leadership and competence level in government agencies. So actually that will underpin also trustworthy use of AI. If we have managers in public state agencies who understand both the opportunities and risks associated with using AI. And we know that 60% of our state organizations already implement measures to increase employee competence. These are the people who are actually working and managing artificial intelligence-based systems. And 43% created internal guidelines for using AI. So this is sort of building a fundament within each public agency. And one other important issue is also a dialogue between the employer, the management, and employee representatives, so that also those people feel having a finger on the levers of how AI is being deployed and implemented in the agency. And then the second thing is the access to data. I agree with Professor Kim that this is a crucial issue. And we have a number of very good quality registers, and we have been working for several years on opening those data. But the opening must happen in a responsible way. And that's why in Norway, at least, to access personal data for a purpose of training and using in AI systems requires legal basis. So you cannot just say, okay, I have this data, I pick them, and then I train a system, and here we go. You have to have legal basis. So you have to procure this legal basis. That may take time with the legislative branch. When you have that, then you can proceed, but within all the also safety and security constraints. Another thing is, of course, to have a legal framework in general. So Norway is now working on implementing the EU AI Act, which will be our overarching framework for using AI in Norway. We aim at implementing it on par with EU countries to create level playing field. We have already in 2020 put forward a national strategy for AI, which put forward 7 principles for responsible and trustworthy AI. Those principles are further endorsed by our new digitalization strategy for Norway, published just recently in the fall of 24. And in that strategy, our government has a very ambitious goals. They want public agencies to adopt AI at very quick rate. Already in 25, 80% of public agencies should use AI, and by 2030, 100%. So as you see, it's very ambitious, but we work quite diligently to make it possible, both within agencies, as I was describing, but also on national level by investing in infrastructure. So the government has invested, for example, 40 million kroner early in developing foundational models in our language, that is Norwegian and Sami languages, based on our societal values, so that we have systems that really reflect who we are, not the whole of internet, sorry. And then the other investment we are looking at is our high-performance computing infrastructure to enable actually develop and train AI at a scale that is needed. So that's also the investment. And this infrastructure may be used by both public and private entities. For example, we have one startup which is called DigiFarm that uses AI to help farmers predict what to sow, when and where, and so on. And this requires computing power, so this kind of infrastructure may provide it even to smaller startups and companies. And of course, in enforcing the AI Act, we will establish or are establishing a national enforcement structure. So we will have one authority, our National Communication Authority, that will look at the compliance with the AI Act. And we will also establish AI Norway, which will be an arena for sharing experience, guidance, and testing in a regulatory sandbox of systems in a very safe environment before deploying. So, we will also collaborate with our data protection authority on this regulatory sandbox. So also systems which are trained on personal data may be tested there. So this is sort of outline how do we work both at the micro level and macro level on enabling trustworthy and safe AI in Norway. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for sharing Norway's experience and then what Norway has been doing. I remember about this one tool implemented by one of the countries I wouldn't name, and it was supposed to support the public sector officials with their job, but then the users of that tool wasn't really trained on how to use the tool. And at the end, what was supposed to be a supporting tool ended up making wrong decisions for the government. So I see how building employee capabilities and then the leadership around AI and digital is a key to ensuring trustworthy use of AI. So I will conclude our segment here. Thank you very much to you both, and then I give the floor back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful discussion and to all the speakers in segment 2. And I apologize to all the speakers in segment 1 that I cannot come back to you for finalizing a comment. But now I will open the floor for audience for any questions or comments on both segments of this open forum. So no question. Just one.
There is one over there.
Okay. So I'm sorry, the time has run out. So sorry about the management, but I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And if you have any questions, please contact directly to the individual speakers. And let me also share, we'll have another session on AI tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in conference hall. So thank you very much to all the audience and also to all the speakers, and the session is closed. Thank you very much.